Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Unbottleneck, the podcast where we help solve common marketing problems. And today with us is Brandon from Seo Optimizers, who started in search in around 2007. He started his Seo Optimizers and has been a digital marketing company that focuses on helping small businesses and medium-sized businesses get more traffic, which converts into client sales and leads, which we all need. For the past 14 years, he's been helping websites rank higher using SEO strategies, and hundreds of websites rank for hyper-competitive keywords, which we're going to ask him about later on. Converting into sales and leads, of course. He holds a bachelor's degree in business marketing from Cal State Long Beach, which isn't too far from our office here in La Mirada, and is here to talk about link building today, which is a very controversial, but at the same time, kind of an exciting topic of SEO. So, Brandon, welcome to the show, and let us know a little bit more about you.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. Appreciate it, and welcome, everyone. My name is Brandon Leibowitz, and I've kind of like what you said, been involved with digital marketing for the past 14 years, helping out businesses get more traffic to their websites, and primarily focused on SEO. I mean, I've done social media, email marketing, paid ads. I've done it all, and it all works in terms of getting traffic. It's great, but I just realized over the years that SEO is a way to get free traffic, and free traffic is always a lot better, especially in the long run. You don't have to worry about ads or about social media platforms emerging and disappearing and changing and putting all your eggs in one basket. So really like diversifying and just getting that free traffic from Google. And that's really why I like seeing other businesses get that traffic as well and watch them grow and scale up.
Yeah, it's fun too. It's challenging because we're a lot like fitness trainers in many ways, right? We want to strive to be better, strive to be number one. You know, we have clients that will obsess over top rankings. So in the world of SEO, you've kind of got two sets of clients: the brands that want to continue to grow brand awareness and drive incremental traffic through organic, and then you've got the small businesses. And the small business mentality isn't I'm looking to grow my business through search. It's I need to be number one in Google. They don't care what that means. They don't care what their website looks like. They don't care if they even get leads from their business. They just want to be number one. And it's a really fascinating dynamic that that basically helped us with our shift to doing a lot more small business too. Instead, shifting over to corporate. So what's the mix of clients you guys work with over at Seo Optimizers?
So we have a wide variety. We're focused on medium-sized businesses, but we help small emerging startups and have some corporate clients as well, but more kind of centered in the middle. And like you were saying about the small businesses, I mean, I see all the time where people come to me saying, I want to rank for this keyword, I want to rank for that keyword. And I tell them 20 people search for this keyword, let's use a plural or a synonym, but I call them like the ego keywords, where they just want to see that they're number one.
Vanity keyword.
It doesn't do much good. I'm just like, we need to drive conversions. Traffic is great. Keyword rankings are great, but that's not a means to an end. We need to make sure that they actually follow through, turn it into a phone call, email, sign up, whatever your conversion goal is, because traffic is just half the battle. Getting them to convert is really another big part that I've really been focused more on in the past couple of years. Is like conversion rate optimization, just making sure that, because in the past I would get people ranked for all these keywords, and then after a few months they're just like, well, I'm not getting the leads, and I just tell them there's only so much I could do with your website. But now I've been studying it a lot more, and that's helped out a lot more with just keeping people engaged on the website, making sure that it's properly optimized, it looks good across the board on all the different platforms, and just test and keep testing.
And you made a good point too. I think the other half of the equation is education. Is being able to work with clients to get them to buy in and understand, the different disciplines that are going to be involved, and the collaboration we need from them as it pertains to, really coming up with rich content to use. And a lot of times the smaller businesses are like, just make the phone ring. Like, well, we're not an advertising company. We're here to help take everything that's you and your company that we could use to to try to show the industry how good you are at what you do, and give them tips based on what you've learned that your competitors may not be as good at. And I feel like if the client isn't willing to be involved, they should just stick to advertising, and not worry so much about SEO. But if they really want that organic presence, if they really want to create a name for themselves, SEO is the way to go. Well, Brandon, I came up with a few questions to pick your brain with, and then I've got a lightning round, and we'll have some fun with that. The first question on my list is that you mentioned in your LinkedIn bio that you started this company, this SEO Optimizers, that you'd always worked for ad agencies, and that when you started, you had no idea what you were doing, and neither did your clients. So we occasionally get clients that say the same thing. I have no idea what it is you do. In fact, one of them's like, I don't know what you all do. Over there in the South, we love this guy. For businesses getting more aggressive with SEO, does this continue to be the trend that you see? And how important is this is how SEO works, education in how you work with your clients?
Yeah, I mean, well, when I first started doing SEO, nobody understood what SEO is or understood the acronyms.
A lot still don't.
Yeah, and still they don't, but at least now it's getting better. But yeah, I mean, it's still tough trying to explain to people what it is, what we're doing, how involved they need to be, and what the results are. Because a lot of people just think it's really easy. You just put a couple keywords here and Google's going to rank you, which maybe 20 years ago it was like that. But nowadays there's a lot more that needs to be done to just show Google that you're relevant, that you're most qualified, best search result. And a lot of it is education. I mean, unfortunately, with the pandemic that's been going on, that kind of made more people aware of that they don't need to, or that they can't just rely on brick and mortar and retail, that they need to have an online presence. And that's actually picked up. I mean, initially I lost a lot of clients. I worked with a lot of retail shops and it's been tough, but now it seems like we're about probably like maybe in July, that's when things started to pick up, where people just realize you have to adapt and adjust. And that's always a way about it. I mean, that's how I first got into SEO, is kind of fell into it. Didn't really think that's what I wanted to do, but I realized back in 2007 that this is the future. Everyone's going to have a website and needs to market it. And even though people aren't aware of the different avenues to market it or don't know about SEO, it's still something that got to help plant and educate and let them know. So I do a lot of classes as well, where I kind of teach people about SEO and kind of simplify things and kind of like let them know from the basics, like what is SEO? How does Google work? What are some of the key points that Google's looking at to help make sure that your website's optimized from what they're looking for? But a lot of it is education, even when I do the classes. So half the people at the end, I feel like I just kind of went over their head, even though I really simplified things. It does get technical with SEO. Unfortunately, it's not always the most straightforward, but yeah, a lot of it is just trying to let them know what's working and what it is.
We see that a lot. I think that is a challenge sometimes, because it feels technical. Anytime you're talking about anything optimization, or just the phrase search engine becomes something that a lot of business owners just don't they don't relate to. So when I get the question of, what is SEO and why do I even care? The short answer is, well, where do you show up in the phone book? Right? And the answer is, well, we don't use a phone book. Really? What do you use? Oh, we use the internet. Well, great. And who helps you to make sure that you show up there? And they go, oh, I get it. Well, what do you do? How do you get a page to rank? Well, the first thing you do is you just make sure your page solves for the keyword that the user searched for better than the other 10 results that show up on page one. The second thing is you make sure other websites know about you and your brand and that the services that you offer, so that as search engines are, crawling through the internet, they can find your name and, those words that you want to appear for, and start to become synonymous to those phrases. The third part is making sure when they do see your result, that they're more compelled to click on your listing than the other 9 if you're on the first page, and that they stay on your web page. So those user behavior signals long term that will, determine, whether you're a good result for the long term or not. The content and the other websites linking to yours are really more of a short term signal to qualify you or pre-qualify you to rank. Ultimately, it's whether the users decide they want to stay or click on your site and stay on your site that'll help you to sustain that ranking. And then they start to get it and they go, well, tell me about the content piece. And that's where you go, well, let's look at all the keywords that your competitors are getting traffic to their pages and what you've received traffic for in the past. And let's put a plan together to make this page the most helpful around all those different ideas that we found. And then let's look at where the competitors are all getting links to their sites, to figure out where we should be looking at getting other links to come in, knowing how important other websites linking to you is and Google's whole ranking algorithm. In fact, that brings me to question 2. A very significant part, maybe even the most important part, is link building. Can you maybe start with your take on this popular, definition type question? What is link building?
That is a tough question. I've tried to answer that all the time, and I think I've simplified it enough. But yeah, link building is kind of tricky to explain, especially to business owners where they have no knowledge of what SEO is. But I tell them essentially it's other websites talking about you. You need to get other websites to mention your company or your website, and it has to be clickable. So it can't just be mentioning Brandon from SEO Optimizers. If they mention me, that's good, but that's not a backlink. It has to be where if you click on it, you leave one website and you get taken to another website. So it has to be another website kind of showing a vote of confidence saying, we look at Brandon and we trust him, or we think he has some good content. So we're going to link out to him. But the main thing is it has to be clickable, because I get a lot of people that come to me saying, I have all this PR that I've done in the past, and we look at it and none of them are clickable links. And I mean, it's still good to have those mentions, but
Sure.
It's not going to have that same impact of a clickable link pointing back to your website. And yeah, that's kind of the simplified version. I mean, it does get technical with the backlinks. There's a lot that goes into it, but simplified version is getting a clickable link from another website to point to your website.
Yeah, I think to articulate it to a client, one of the things that I've used is sort of an analogy is I imagine that keyword being at the center of a spider web. And in your website, if it wants to be in the center of the spider web and ranking for that keyword, which is the number one position, there needs to actually be a web. And they all need to basically tell the search engines that the center of this web is your brand. And if there's no connections to you, there's no web. So the idea is to build a web through getting connections, through getting other websites to, to share your content and to curate and to ultimately link. The good news is, from my understanding and how Google's evolving, links are still important. They still pass, Larry Page's old algorithm, PageRank. They still pass value in voting, like you mentioned. But there's also these content vectors, and there's also this thing called, co-occurrence and co-citation, where Google starts to see your name become semantic to a search term, even without a link, and it can play a role, in your overall ranking. So, we've done some tests and experiments ourselves, and we've actually seen a little bit of a shift recently, well, at least over the last couple of years, in Google using a little bit more of those signals than links. In fact, we did a whole campaign, an anti-link campaign, to see if we could move up a page in the search results just through co-occurrence of the name and the keyword. And we did. We moved a page from like page 7 to page 2. And then you get one link, and then boom, you're on page 1. So ultimately, that link still plays a really important role, in how Google and other websites work. The other thing to think about too is a lot of business owners and even marketers have a bit of a set it forget it mindset, where, hey, once I do something, I can move on and do other things. Well, the challenge I've seen is that a lot of competitors, they won't rest on their laurels, right? They're going to see you moving up above them, and they're going to try to beat you. So I think the importance, and I think the way the algorithms work too, is a lot around patterns. Is there a consistent pattern of improvement, of growth, of bounce rates, of click-through rate? Is there constant improvement in the quality of the content that you're providing? Or are you set it, forget it, and just waiting for your competitors to outdo you, and then you eventually taper off and get demoted in the results? So I think that part of it, is holding the teams and your SEO company accountable to constant improvement. Hey, I went down. What happened? Oh, the number one guy did something spammy. Great. Did we report them? Right. It's paying attention to those things, and even maybe even going as far as setting up a program to, and there's one called Visual Ping that I like to use, Visual PING, that will notify me when a competitor changes something on their website. So, we pick up those for the most important pages, so that when a competitor does make a change, we're aware of it, we can analyze it, and then adjust our strategy based on what we see working or not working for the competition. So thinking about link building though, and how important it is, what are the components? What really goes into developing a strong link building strategy, in your opinion?
The main thing that I look at now is just making sure you get good quality backlinks when you're building these backlinks.
What's a good quality backlink?
So yeah, that is a good question. What does Google think of quality backlinks? And the main thing is really relevancy, making sure that the sites that link back to you are coming from something that's semi-related. If like I'm an SEO company and I get a doctor to link out to me, if a doctor is linking to me, it doesn't really align. I mean, it's not bad. Maybe I help this doctor out with some SEO, and it's okay if it's a one-off, but if the majority of my links were coming from just off-topic sites, that's going to definitely throw some red flags to Google, just thinking, why are these irrelevant sites linking out to this website? Maybe this website's not about the topics we thought. Maybe they've shifted or got rebranded or doing something different. But yeah, the main components I'm looking for is relevancy. And the safest way I really do it is just blogger outreach, reaching out to other related blogs. And that's how I've been doing it for the past probably 7-8 years. Doing the blogger outreach is safest long-term strategy. I mean, there's a ton of other ways. Do like press releases.
When you think about that successful link building strategy, when you're talking about bloggers, what's the approach there? Do you reach out and sort of just kind of become their friends and figure out ways you can collaborate together? Do you offer something up? Are you incentivizing? What's the strategy when you look at blogs as a link building strategy?
Yeah, we try to offer them something in return, give them either a piece of content, an article, an infographic, a video, something that's going to resonate with their audience so they could get some content out of it, because content is always going to be number one. So they get free content, and in exchange, we'll throw a clickable link back to our website and try to just kind of cold outreach them. I mean, we try to build
a lot of those emails myself. I don't often respond to them unless there's some sort of sense of collaboration, and I quantify their site as one that that drives and could drive some relevant traffic to us. So what's your response rate look like on that when you're trying to contribute content?
Yeah, so the response rate, not always the best. That's why I really try to focus more on building relationships instead of just spamming and sending out hundreds or thousands of emails, going for quality, not quantity, just like with the backlinks, building more quality and going and targeting specific industries, building these relationships. Reaching out on Twitter is a really good way to connect with people or businesses, or reaching out on LinkedIn and just trying to not just kind of cold email, because we get those all the time. And I mean, I get probably 20 of those a day, and
it feels like that, doesn't it?
Let's skip on over them. And I'm sure everybody's getting them nowadays because everyone's kind of realized blogger outreach is a safer way to build backlinks, even though I still see a lot of people building blog comments and social bookmarking and all these other types, which not the best. So really try to focus more on getting these quality sites to link out to you. And the main way
I do get I don't know if you get this too, but I do get lists from people who, when I say, give me an example of some links that you've earned, just because we're always looking for good resources that we can refer to our clients. And I'll get back a spreadsheet and I'll say, I got these links, and they'll have metrics on them. And like you said, I rarely even look at the metrics. I focus, really around more of the quality. But the three criteria that we use when we look at what we consider to be a high quality link is one, the probability that the page that's linking to is going to earn links of its own, right? Because an orphaned page on some website that Google's not going to navigate to very often isn't going to send much voting power. The second criteria is the likelihood of that page actually sending referral traffic, because we know search engines will also correlate that. I'm not going to really get a lot of referral traffic from, my cousin's Weebly site for her kindergarten teaching, right? Even if she does a great page about SEO, if she links to me, and I'm not going to get traffic from that page. I'm not going to get referral traffic. And, it's not likely to attract links of its own because, no one even knows about it. And then the third criteria we'll look at is whether or not that link will be seen, by a massive amount of people. I honestly, in some cases, don't care if I get the referral traffic or if I get, if the page gets links, if it's going to be seen by hundreds of thousands of users, front page of Yahoo, for example, Yahoo News, really big PR, because that's great brand awareness. And we don't care as much about the page rank passing through that link as we do about the brand visibility and how we're trying to, put ourselves out there. So those are kind of the three things. And I'll go through that spreadsheet and I'll say, okay, is this one going to attract links of its own? Is it going to send, quality referral traffic, or is it going to be seen by hundreds of thousands of people? If it's not, then to me it kind of gets taken out of the list. And then when you think about strategy too, I think it's really important to figure out what your approach types are going to be as you do reach out. I'm sure you've felt this too when you're doing the blogger outreach. And so one of the things I've found that I've heard has also been really successful for our clients is starting with reference. Getting them to reference something that you did. Sometimes it's a little bit of ego bait, where you'll say some really nice things about a company and give them a really high quality page about them or their company. And that's sort of link bait and ego bait in a way, but getting them to reference something that, as you mentioned, isn't already on their website and would be helpful to their users. The second approach type that we've looked at is cross promoting. Like, hey, we're in similar industries. You do offline, I do online. Maybe there's some stuff we can do together, to cross promote. Let's let's do an interview or even a podcast or vlog like what we're doing now, Brandon. Where we sort of work together to do a little bit of cross promotion for each other. The third is that contribution, which you're already doing. Hey, I've written this article for you. I've attached it to the email. Let me know if you want to use it. If not, there's this other competitor of yours, not saying competitor of yours. There's this other website that said that they were interested in content, but we'd really love to give you first shot at it. So a little bit of sense of urgency and sales involved in trying to get that response rate, and not saying I'd like to, can I, where it's an open-ended no answer, but instead just giving them the content. And the last thing comes with sort of a red flag, and that's sponsorship. You sponsor an industry event, and while it's good and it can drive relevant referral traffic, it's also sort of seen as buying links in a way, because you're paying for that sponsorship. So technically it should have a little tag on the link that tells the search engine that this is a sponsored link, and don't pass any or as much voting power to it. But beyond those 4 different tiers of strategy, from the reference, cross promotion, contribution, and sponsorship, I think it's paramount that anybody thinking about link building should really take the time to memorize that link schemes guide, that guideline that Google puts out there, so that they know as they're working toward building links, what the no-nos are that could come back later and affect their rankings.
But you have to be careful with the
it's just my 2 cents on
it. With like Google, you don't want to step on their toes or do anything that's going to trigger any red flags. So if they see that, they're going to come out and look. And it
goes both ways, right? There's the negative SEO where competitors are building really spammy links to their competitors' websites. Like, why would you pay for links to my site? Oh, you're trying to make me look like I'm gaming the search results. Right? You're putting keywords in my links to make it look like I'm trying to use explicit anchor text to rank for a certain word. So you're right, and that's something I know Google's been addressing, but I'm hoping that in the future they get better at it.
Yeah, they're trying. They're always updating their algorithm. I think they did one a few weeks ago or a few days ago. So
the core update on the 2nd. Did everyone survive?
Yeah, no, actually mine went up, but so we'll see. We'll have to see. It's still pretty new, and I know the first couple of weeks after, it's always fluctuating because Google's just testing. But
I've seen in this latest algorithm update, a lot of really upper funnel content heavy sites were doing well, minus healthcare. Almost feels like a little bit of potentially what we referred to as the medic update, that affected sites that affected your money or your health. And so it'll be interesting to continue watching it. But so far, all but those that were in medical seem to have gone up. And looking at our results, so that's a good sign. All right, next question. You ready? What would you like website and business owners to know about the role of outreach and developing business relationships, and how that affects successful or maybe unsuccessful link building?
So when you're building these backlinks, you do have to build relationships, because as a business owner, I'm sure nowadays almost every website is getting spammed by these people that are just doing outreach, and you just got to not be cold emailing them, build those relationships, try to connect with them, learn more about them on their social media, or go on their website. Usually at the very bottom on their footer or at the top, they'll have the social media logos or icons. They could connect and see what kind of content they're posting out, maybe call out something that they've posted that resonates with you, or look at their blog posts and highlight something that's caught your eye and caught your attention. So instead of just kind of doing like a templated email that most people do, saying like, hi, my name is blah, blah, blah. Say like, hi, I was reading, and then call out a specific section. So it's more personalized, because once you personalize things, that works a lot better. If it's not personalized, it just looks like another piece of spam and too many. And a lot of people are getting their inboxes clogged and full of those. So you got to really differentiate yourself and give them something that resonates, and let them know that you're actually interested and want to connect with them and want to build that relationship, and you're not just using them for that backlink, and then just after that you're never going to hear from them or talk to them again. But now you're showing them that you want to continue and build that relationship. And a lot of things that you touched on too, like telling them, hey, we're going to cross promote it and we're going to share it on our social media channels, especially if you have big followings. That's a great way to kind of give an incentive saying, hey, I have this following on Twitter or on Instagram and I'll share all my content with them. And that always helps usually with some incentivizing. But really build those relationships and don't just jump into saying, can I give you an article or can I get a backlink? Build the relationship and show them that everyone can benefit, that it's going to be mutually beneficial and that you're not just looking to get something and just disappear, because that's a lot of
the easiest relationships, Brandon, that I keep thinking about are those that you already have with vendors and software and programs you already use. Going back to them and saying, hey, I'm a really big fan. We've been on your product forever. Would you like me to be a case study for you? Right? Would you like us to share a little bit of how we use your product and give you a testimonial? Those are some great ways to more or less nurture relationships you already have with vendors and people who, want to sort of use you as a brand advocate for them. They'd love to throw a client on their website who's happy with their product, right?
Yeah.
So there's one angle. The other thing I've seen work really well for us is I like to build a lot of relationships with college professors and college department heads. So I go in and I volunteer my time to teach students a little bit about what my day-to-day life is like in the SEO world. And in doing that, the students get a lot of value from it. They get some free templates. They get to see some live examples of things. And after doing that, a few times for those schools, at some point you get invited to record something for them or to put something together for their students that goes live on the website. Now, not only are you getting a link and making a difference in affecting the future practitioners of your industry in the future, but you're also putting yourself in front of people who might eventually be your customers. So we've gotten 3 students who went to one of my guest speaking events, who went off into marketing careers and then called me later on. They said, you came into my class a few years ago and I had a hard time remembering your name, but when I finally did, I was like, I got to reach out to this guy because we need your help. And so those types of relationships and those colleges linking back to you, those are pretty healthy links, as long as they're on pages that, as I mentioned, will get linked to and shared among the students.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good way to do it. And you're giving back, helping people out, that's why I like teaching as well. I teach a lot of free classes and just kind of give back to business owners, letting them know what's working. And kind of the same thing. People come to me all the time a few years later and be like, I remember taking your class at General Assembly or all these different places, and there's like, it resonates and it is awesome making an impact. Just like we could see businesses get more traffic and watch them grow. It's nice to see people that are just trying to figure out what they want to do in life and maybe lead them in a path that they might not have otherwise thought about. Because when I was going to school, there was not much about digital marketing, internet marketing. I mean, there's a little bit, but they didn't really talk about SEO. And even then, I mean, having a textbook about SEO, it's going to be outdated a few days later, a couple of weeks later. So it's tough, but it's nice having that experience. And like you said,
works in every industry too. I mean, lawyers can go to law schools, right? Accountants can go to CPA classes. And so it really is something that is universal. What are your favorite link building tools, Brandon? What do you like to use?
So I like Ahrefs is a really good one.
Of course, that one, use them too.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of link building tools out there. They're all equally good, not equal. They're all pretty good for the most part. They give you similar results, but I just like Ahrefs because I was able to kind of beta test them when they first came out, and they gave me a really good deal. Kind of like you're saying, like give someone a promotion and give someone an incentive. And I was one of the beta testers, and they gave me a really good deal. And I have the same lifetime access that I had. I forget when I first got it, maybe 5-6 years ago, because I had a blog about social media marketing and about SEO, and they reached out to me kind of when I first started doing that. I think maybe in 2013. Not sure exact dates, but like that tool, especially nowadays, because they keep adding so many features and functionality to it. So it's not just for backlink checking anymore. I mean, and they keep adding a lot of features with the backlink tool where you could really dive in and really hone in and hyper target and look at specific areas. But they also do keyword ranking or tracking. They let you do keyword research. I mean, they have a ton of different tools in it. So that's
sounds like Ahrefs is your go-to for all search marketing.
For the most part nowadays, yeah, I kind of shifted away. I mean, kind of leaving all my other rank tracking tools and kind of merge them all, because Ahrefs has it all under one umbrella, and it's a lot easier to get that all in one central location. So I like that.
My favorite tools in Ahrefs are the link intersect tool. I love to be able to to do sort of an industry study of where do websites in my industry get their links, where are the most common links coming from. That really helps from an industry standpoint create that spider web we were talking about, right? How do I get to the center of that spider web where we have to have all the right strands, pointing to us? So I love that. I also like the unlinked mentions, but I really like to see that tool get better. I think we've been whining about that for years, where we could export it, So once you've kind of collected all of your link building ideas and ideal places you want to build links, where do you manage it all? Do you manage it all in a Google Sheet and a CRM somewhere?
So yeah, I probably should get a CRM, but right now it's all on Google Sheets and just sharing docs and just keeping it there and trying to, but Google Sheets works pretty well, especially like collaborating and sharing with other team members and just
why not
list. And it's so dynamic instead of having Excel kind of sharing it and then having to edit and resend it to everyone. Now everything's updated in real time, and it makes things nice because there's always new opportunities that emerge, or maybe we look at a site that we might have thought was good and realize, let's double check it and scrutinize it. And after looking a little bit more, realize maybe it's not the best. Look at more of like the quality, the history of them, because there's a lot of ways to trick us into thinking that domains are good and clean when who knows what's really happened in the past. So you got to look at all those different metrics. And if you really want
Bruce Clay had something called the disavow list site, where you could actually upload your disavow file, and then it would use that as a database, and you'd be able to see whether or not a domain is on a disavow list or multiple. It's kind of a neat thing that I think the community just didn't really get as involved in as they could have, but it's a really fascinating concept. My favorite tools for managing links include BuzzStream, Pitchbox. They're sort of a micro CRM built specifically for link building. Pitchbox is a little bit more like Legos in the sense that it's already got some pre-built projects for you when you get in, and then it's a bit of a structured thing, and you can send mass emails, which I'm not a huge fan of. Like you, I like personalizing them. BuzzStream, on the other hand, is a little bit more like Play-Doh versus Legos, where you can pretty much use it for whatever you wanted to. It doesn't have to be just link building, but I create a project for unlinked mentions, for intersecting links, for maybe just business citations, and then industry, magazine, news. You can organize those projects and delegate them to different team members. Those that are more submission, where you submit your website to a contest or to a directory, can be handled by somebody who doesn't need to build a relationship. And then you assign those that do require a little bit of relationship building, to a different resource. So I love the reporting in it too, because it shows you how you're diversifying the different places that you're getting links, as I mentioned, news and blog and directory and that sort of thing. So it's a nice way to sort of gauge the overall performance of your link strategy. So for those listening, by the way, I'm pretty close to the folks at BuzzStream, and I think I still have a URL with a discount. It's like this hidden discount thing that I have. So I'll try to put that in the description wherever we post this. But if you guys want, to try it out for a couple months, BuzzStream is pretty awesome, and there's some really good training videos in their academy if you're interested. Question for you: so where does what we're doing right now, right, being a guest on a podcast episode, fall under helpful strategies for link building?
I would say this is kind of getting you on more related sites. It's kind of diversifying instead of just doing what everyone's doing, which is the blog post kind of strategy right now, and mix it up, because if you just have the same type of backlinks coming to your website,
it's pretty obvious, right?
Yeah, it's like, why are you only getting backlinks from blogs? What's going on? So diversifying, but also I've also started my own podcast this past year, and so like kind of collaborating and building these relationships with other podcasters, just like link building. It's a whole different world, and the podcasting is kind of new into me, and it's fun.
And you build great friendships like this one, man.
It is the best. Get those relationships instead of just emailing somebody and then giving them some content. Now we can actually talk in person, have long-form conversations, and discuss things that we like. And it's always good bouncing ideas off one another and getting new ideas, new strategies, new methods, because there's always ideas. There's always new topics to talk about, especially with digital. It's always evolving. So it's good to have that collaborative kind of space together. But this does really help out with getting other relevant websites. A lot of what I try to go is just go after relevancy. I mean, other people try to go after authoritative sites, which is good too, pass on more trust and authoritativeness with that backlink. But if you're getting a backlink from an authoritative site that's not really on par or on topic with your niche, doesn't really align too well with Google. So I try to go for more relevancy. That's why podcasting on other blogs that are related to not just SEO like yours, but just anything related to digital marketing or
Hey,
marketing
you're
in
in
general.
digital marketing. How come all of your links are coming from kindergarten websites or something, right? It's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
it
that
makes
red
sense.
flag to Google, and we don't want Google to
Yeah.
look at us like that. We want to make sure everything's done, abiding by their terms of service, and going after Google Webmaster Guidelines and looking at what they're telling us to do, and just making sure that everything's good to go on our end.
Nice. All right, we're almost done with our questions, and we get our lightning round. So get ready for that.
Awesome. Ready for
What are the most important steps in link building for beginners that want to sort of up their game or just get involved in link building? I mentioned one earlier, I think, is the getting that link schemes document as their Bible, right?
Yep. And I would definitely read up as much as you can or watch videos. Ahrefs puts out a lot of good tutorials because when you do watch videos or any of the stuff like the podcast or anything like that, just make sure it's from a few years ago, because if anything's older than 4 or 5 years ago, it might still work, but it also might not work, because with Google, Google changes every single day, so potentially this might not still be the most relevant. But you just got to make sure that when you are reading and learning up, that you're finding strategies that are pretty relevant or newer, because you don't want to build the wrong type of backlinks. And 10 years ago, there's a lot of strategies, a lot of tools to build backlinks, but they weren't really the good type of backlinks. And if you follow those guidelines, or if you go on like Fiverr and sites like that, you're going to get these backlinks that are actually going to do more harm than good. So
and that was our next question, was what are some link building tricks and strategies to avoid? So you mentioned so for beginners, stay away from Fiverr if you're trying to build links.
Anything where it's too good to be true, where it's $5, $10 to get back.
Feels too easy.
And they're writing an article for you. It's like, that can't be true. How are they writing an article, publishing it, or they're going to get you 100 backlinks, doing these Web 2.0 kind of link farms and things like that, which stuff like that you don't want to do nowadays. Maybe
our PR company sent me a draft of what they wanted to send out, and for a site that asked for an article, and I looked at it and I'm like, well, one, this isn't the voice of my brand. Two, you're mentioning strategy, but you're talking about tactics and tactical things. So I ended up just rewriting the whole thing. Like, from now on, if you're promoting anything for me as publicist or whatever, it should come from me. And I don't mind staying up late to write it. But I get the same feeling, like, hey, we'll write something for you. Well, if you're the expert, why would you want someone else writing for you? That's the strangest thing in the world.
Especially when you're not going to research it. They're just going to do a quick Google search, see what's on the first page of Google, and rewrite it, and it's not good. It's just filler content. That's not what people want. Like, if you're on that first page of Google, you don't want to, if you're searching on Google and you click on any of these listings and it's just a bunch of fluff and filler content, that does no good. And just like you said, they're going to bounce. It's going to have that negative user experience, and Google's going to see, even if you have all these backlinks and you have a really strong content, or
figure it out,
it's not going to work. Google's going to just be like, no, this is not what we're looking for. People are not staying on the site, and we want to provide the best results that people want to keep using Google. And if they click on Google's links and they take you to a site that's not the best or most relevant, you'll be like, let me check out Bing or Yahoo or DuckDuckGo or any of these other search engines, because there's a lot of competition out there, and they're all scratching, trying to get to Google as fast as they can. But Google knows they got to give those quality results, otherwise people will leave.
Everything. Always providing the most relevant results, been their mantra, I think. So we talked a minute ago about the dynamics of search and how content 5 years ago might not be as helpful as some of the newer things that are happening, like with Google Passages and with all the newest, latest, greatest markup and rich results. How in your opinion, how is link building changing, and what's the future of link building look like?
Yeah, it's definitely been changing. It keeps on evolving and changing. Once Google sees that people are trying to manipulate and game the system and trick them into getting those rankings, they're going to stop looking at those link strategies. So if people keep abusing the blogger outreach, which Google said a few years ago that they're not going to place as much emphasis on these type of backlinks, you got to adapt and adjust and look at what new strategies are out there, really look at the competitors and see who's on that first page of Google, what type of backlink strategies have they used over the years, how has that impacted them. Look at like anchor text quality. There's a lot of variables that go into it, whereas people just build backlinks thinking that's it, but you have to really make sure that you're diversifying your anchor text, you're mixing it up. You're not just using the same words or putting your exact match keywords in there.
So you'd say authenticity is probably authenticity and appearing as organic and natural as possible is going to continue to be a big thing. Do you think the featured snippets at the top of search, as everyone's trying to be number one in a voice search, is going to play a role in how people shift some of their effort from trying to get links to instead maybe trying to get citations of their short answers to appear in featured snippets? Do you see any of that happening?
Yeah, you definitely want to get in that featured snippet if you can, see what questions people ask and take those questions. Like I would go into Google, just search for your keyword, see that people also ask section, grab all those questions that people also ask about that keyword and make a FAQ type of section on your website, answer those questions. You could even put FAQ schema on it to mark it up and try to get that schema in there to enhance those listings, because the more real estate you could take up on that first page of Google, you're pushing your competitors down further. And if they're not above the fold and you're able to push them down with having those 4 or 5 extra FAQ schemas in there, that's going to definitely be huge. But yeah, content is so important. And a lot of it nowadays is writing good content that naturally attracts a backlink. So you don't have to build them manually. I mean, that's what Google's always said from the beginning is don't build backlinks, just write really good content and people are naturally backlinked to you, which is true if they could find you, but you got to give them a little nudge and push to help find you, especially if you're a new business or a new website that's just emerging. But really just write good content, and good content is going to attract backlinks. It will track that FAQ or it'll track that featured snippet if Google sees that people are resonating, people are sticking on your website, and that's what they're looking for.
I've seen where writing good content, since there's a lot of good content already on the internet, and being different than the pages that already rank. I've seen the ones that succeed do it from data they already have in their own research. So I find it interesting when a brand is willing to take something they know that their competition doesn't know, and share that within their content. So instead of it just being sort of a fluff article about something with some really nice images and a video, instead saying, did you know that 45% of iPhone users do X versus Y? And did you know that mainly males versus females prefer whatever? Having that insight around your own customer base and being able to share that is unique. It's helpful, and it also gets people who are doing research to reference your content. So I agree. I think that's a great thing to do, is to take some data and share that within your content, as opposed to just saying, here's a writer, write some things. It's like, hey, what do we know? What do we know that we can share that nobody else knows? I got to know, what's the most exciting brand you've worked with?
Worked with a few that were kind of exciting. I don't know if I could tell them because had some NDAs, but
we worked with Technicolor a couple years back, and I had no idea that they were the powerhouse behind a lot of the media that goes into like Marvel. They did all the colorization of like Marvel movies, and I had no idea. I thought they were, from like 50, 60 years ago with the Wizard of Oz. I thought that was like Technicolor. They're still a powerhouse for all film and studios. So it's really exciting to work with such a legacy brand with so much history. And I don't know, to me, that was the funnest account for us.
That would be a nice one. That would be a unique one and more fun. Yeah. The one that I was thinking was just a big corporate brand that's kind of in every household. One of the bigger companies that kind of just makes consumer products, but I don't know if they'd be too happy if I said their name. But other ones I liked, I worked with like a skateboard company because that's my passion. So that was really fun, finding something that kind of resonates instead of just helping out a e-commerce business where I have to learn about the business and kind of really dive into it. That skateboarding one, that one was my passion and loved that. And that was easiest one to do.
I know skateboarding. I got this.
I was like, I got it, ready to go. Let's do it. It's going to be quick and easy, and it'll be a lot funner than all these other ones, because now
we both use funner twice. It's hilarious, not even a real word.
Make it up now.
Or anything on our grammar. All right, lightning round. You ready for it? Here are the questions. Try to go as quick as we can. So number one is your favorite 3 SEO tools aside from Ahrefs.
I like Ahrefs or SEO Power Suite, Majestic, and I like SEMrush is another good one.
Sweet. Yeah, I'm an SEMrush fan too. Yeah. Who should we be following on social media for link building?
I like Ahrefs blog. I mean, they're always putting out good content. I try to put content out too if you want to follow me as well. But I mean, there's a ton of other good sites out there. But Ahrefs, Search Engine Journal, Search Engine Watch. I mean, they're more general, but.
So I think for link building, Brian Dean would be somebody I would follow from Backlinko.
Backlinko right now.
Kemper from Link Building Tools. I think those are two of my favorites in terms of who's building links. And then you mentioned Ahrefs. So the folks at BuzzStream also have some really good content on social. Do you have any favorite SEO groups on Facebook or LinkedIn for those folks that are interested in SEO and maybe even particular link building that they should join?
Yeah. So on Facebook, SEO Signals, and
I'm in that one
for SEO group, and those are some good ones. And forgot the names off the top of my head, but those are, I think, two of the bigger ones on Facebook that I joined.
SEO Questions is cool too. I like that group. And Whitehead SEO.
Okay, I'll check that one out because Facebook is good. LinkedIn, I haven't used it too much with the group, but Facebook seems to be really good nowadays.
I see more engagement happening on Facebook, and it's more personal. I don't know. One SEO myth that you see that drives you crazy.
I guess putting keyword stuffing. I still see a lot of people saying that putting the keywords in their content is going to make a big difference, or trying to hide the keywords in the content. And
so still getting away with really 1998 SEO. It's funny. I remember doing that. Negative margin 1000. Yeah, I remember doing that back in the day. I would say, thinking about myths right now, my favorite, the other day we were talking about it in here about what people were trying to get away with and what they were doing for SEO is PBNs, the private blog networks. I don't think that's a long-term healthy thing for a reputable brand to be called out upon, if they were seen doing that. So I think that's my biggest. A lot of people believe PBNs work.
Yeah, that is definitely a big one. I should have said that because in the proper SEO group, the whole thing was built about PBNs. I think like Charles Flote and some other guy were building it all about PBN links, which worked in the past, but not too much. I mean, even then, it's still like you don't want to jeopardize yourself. You don't want to put yourself where if Google sees that you're doing those type of backlinks,
where your competitors see it and call you out and give it to a publicist, and the publicist calls you out. And next thing you're in JCPenney type post with New York Times.
Just gone down, disappear off all those rankings, have to start from scratch or rebuild that reputation. It's really tough. It's a lot easier to avoid doing all that because getting out of the penalty is really tough. And that's
you have a high authority site, and they say we're adding a new page to our site that we want to rank for a keyword. What, in your opinion, is the fastest one thing that you could do to help that page rank once it's launched?
Just get another internal link from that website. That way it passes on some internal link juice and gets it indexed faster and gets Google to pick it up. But if it's a big authoritative site, that should definitely help it.
Homepage link. That's the way I do it. Homepage link. Yeah. For sure. Internal. Fastest way to rank a listing in the 3-pack in the map pack.
Just getting consistency with the name, address, and phone number. Just getting consistency. It's just kind of like building a website.
Sure.
You can build your website, but if you don't have backlinks, it's going to be tough. Same with like the citate or the local. If you have your Google My Business created, that's good, but Google still doesn't trust you. They want to see that other third-party sites like Yelp, MapQuest, Apple Maps, Bing Maps, Yellow Pages. I mean, list goes on and on.
Got it.
Yeah, making sure it's consistent because I see a lot of websites that have different hours, different names, or old addresses, and if it confuses me, it's going to confuse Google because Google is just
confuse the poor users. I've complained a few times about businesses during the pandemic that didn't adjust their hours, and I took a drive expecting a place to be open and it wasn't, and so I've definitely left some not so nice reviews. What do you feel is the most important landing page SEO focal point, Brandon?
Landing page for SEO is just making sure that just everything's above the fold, primarily, maybe not for SEO, but just making sure that all the content's above the fold. It's clear, concise messaging, and it lines up with whatever page they were visiting or whatever keywords they were searching for, making sure that everything aligns.
Fair enough. What is the best link building technique, in your opinion?
I would say the best or the safest is the blogger outreach nowadays.
Okay.
May be the best, but it's the safest bet for building good quality, strong backlinks where it's not going to put anything at risk, where it might be in that kind of grayish hat area where it might be working, but who knows what Google is going to say in a year or two, and they might just flip
what's
that
the big
switch.
picture? How much effort are we gonna have to spend in a year from now cleaning things up?
Yeah. Just
Do
cleanup
you
is not
feel
fun.
that do you feel that the expertise, authority, trust signals, EAT signals are more important on the website, or how Google looks at those signals off the website?
I'd say equally, maybe a little bit more off the site, because there's always ways to kind of trick the system. Like if you have a website, I can just put a bunch of keywords, and Google's not going to trust what I put on the website. So they want to see other third-party sites validating and kind of solidifying that, okay, maybe Brandon is now an expert, because instead of just seeing that Brandon's authored 100 blogs on his own website, that's great, but has he authored on other websites? So seeing those third-party external signals.
And that's exactly what Danny Sullivan said too, which is, I know there's a part of the industry that's really hung up on EAT right now on the landing page, but because of some outdated web quality raters guidelines. Quality raters.
Yeah,
Last one. Yep, you're right. Ready? This is a tough one. Does offline marketing, like TV, radio, newspapers, help with keyword rankings?
Yeah, it could definitely help out with keyword rankings and awareness. I mean, if you do a TV promo ad and you tell people, go to my website or go search for my name, because a lot of people might not know the exact spelling of your company, they're going to search on Google, and Google sees that now. You just have this huge spike of people that are interested in your or searching for you, and that can definitely help with their algorithm and just build some more trust with Google.
Yep. I'm watching this right now with a brand called Hyperwolf. I saw their billboards everywhere, and there's nothing on the billboard but the word Hyperwolf. Like, what the heck is a Hyperwolf? It's some, marijuana dispensary thing, right? And I'm like, what in the world? And so, of course, I look it up, like what they want everyone to do, and it increases their search, their branded search awareness. And I thought that was really fascinating. So now I'm watching the Google search trends and keyword planner to see what that impact is on keywords that they're trying to rank for. So it's kind of fun to see how people are using offline as a way to stimulate their online demand, right? And builds brand authority, not domain authority, but brand authority, right?
That should be
that was lightning round, man.
Made it through it.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, so I made it through the lightning round.
You survived. Well, I want to make sure everybody knows how to get a hold of you. The first thing I'll throw up on the screen is how to book a call with you. So you do free calls with folks. I could get like I can refer people to you do like free strategy link building calls.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit and kind of let you know what's working, what's not working, and kind of look at your whole strategy, look at some of the competitors, and try to piece together a plan to help you get to where you want to be in terms of getting those rankings.
Nice. And then here is how you can get a hold of Brandon on LinkedIn. You've got what, like 20 million followers or something now on LinkedIn?
A few, too many. So LinkedIn gets a little cluttered, but yeah, if you search for me, Brandon Leibowitz on LinkedIn or YouTube, I put out a lot of these videos that I've been putting out since the pandemic hit. I've always been doing classes in person, but now that we can't do them in person, I've been doing these webinars. So I've been recording them. And so if you want to check out more content about SEO, link building, keyword research, on page, off page, kind of all the different aspects of SEO, check out my YouTube channel if you want to learn more about that.
I haven't checked it out yet, Brandon. I'm going to check it out for sure. I know we're connected on LinkedIn, but now I'm going to have to stalk your YouTube. Yeah, well, this has been amazing. Anything else you wanted to tell folks who are listening, or anything else that you'd like to share before we call this one a wrap?
Yeah, for the most part, if you're a business owner and you're doing SEO and you're struggling, just be patient, because I talk to a lot of people and they're just like, what's going on? I don't see the results, and SEO takes time. There's a lot that's involved in it, and just don't be overwhelmed. Just kind of think of it as like a puzzle, and just kind of put each piece together, and don't just be overwhelmed. Just take it one day at a time, and you'll get those rankings. So I see a lot of people that kind of get frustrated and give up, and just keep working at it. And if you do need help, you can always reach out to myself, and I'm happy to look at your website and give you some perspective on what might be working or what not be working. But just keep working at it, because SEO is the best long-term strategy in terms of getting traffic. Everything else does work, but long-term, let's get you that.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you guys for listening and tuning in to another episode of Unbottleneck. We're going to call this one a wrap. We did some link building with Brandon Leibowitz, and we're definitely going to circle up with him again in the future and talk a little bit more about some really niche strategies and what we can do for link building. So thanks for listening and watching. And Brandon, thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And thanks everyone for listening. Have a great rest of your day.